Hi, my dear students. Today, we will learn to illustrate measures of position for quartiles. Quartiles are the score points which divide and order data into quarters or four equal parts. One quarter or 25% of the distribution are less than or equal to the first quartile or the lower quartile. 2/4 or 50% of the distribution are less than or equal to the second quartile or the middle quartile. 3/4 or 75% are less than or equal to the third quartile or the upper quartile. The lower quartile or the first quartile is less than the middle quartile or the second quartile, and the middle quartile is less than the upper quartile or the third quartile. The middle distribution is also the median of the distribution. The median is a number that measures the center of the data. It separates the ordered data into halves. So this is the illustration for the quartile. You see here the first quartile or the lower quartile, second quartile or the middle quartile or our median. It separates the set of data into halves, the third quartile or the upper quartile. So as you can see here, the 25% of a data has a value of less than or equal to first quartile, or 75% of the data has a value greater than or equal to first quartile. Second observation in our illustration, 50% of the data has a value of less than or equal to quarter 2, or 50% of the data has a value of greater than or equal to our second quartile. 75% of the data has a value of less than or equal to third quartile, or 25% of the data has a value of greater than or equal to the third quartile. Let's have an example. The following illustrates the scores of 7 students in a short quiz given by their math teacher. Each quartile is illustrated and explained below. So these are the scores: 2, 3, 3, 5, 6, 6, 7. So first quartile or the lower quartile is 3, the score of 3. Therefore, 25% of the scores are less than or equal to 3, or 75% of the scores are greater than or equal to 3. Second quartile or middle quartile is score of 5. 50% of the scores are less than or equal to 5, or 50% of the scores are greater than or equal to 5. Third quartile or the upper quartile, score of 6. 75% of the scores are less than or equal to 6, or 25% of the scores are greater than or equal to 6. Example number 2. The number of boats in each fish farm in Hagonoy, Bulacan is shown in the table below. What does each quartile illustrate? So you can see here. So our answer for the first quartile, about 75% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at least 18 boats. Quarter 2, about 50% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at least 23 boats. For the third quartile, about 25% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at least 26 boats. We can also say that in first quartile, about 25% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at most 18 boats. Second quartile, about 50% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at most 23 boats. And for the third quartile, about 75% of fish farms in Hagonoy, Bulacan have at most 26 boats. For our third example, so the table below shows the summary for the 3-point shot that Marlou has successfully shot for each basketball match that their team played. Explain each quartile. So we have here the scores for the 3-point shot of Marlou. So answer, first quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at most 3-point shots in 25% of the basketball matches. For the second quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at most 6 3-point shots in 50% of the basketball matches. For the third quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at most 10 3-point shots in 75% of the basketball matches. Another illustration for this, quartile 1, or first quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at least 3 3-point shots in 75% of the basketball matches. Second quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at least 6 3-point shots in 50% of the basketball matches. In the third quartile, Marlou had successfully shot at least 10 3-point shots in 25% of the basketball matches. Our last example, for the 100-meter dash, the third quartile for the time for finishing the race was 11.5 seconds. Describe the third quartile in this situation. So the answer, 25% of runners finished the race in 11.5 seconds or more, while 75% of the runners finished the race in 11.5 seconds or less. A lower percentile is good because finishing a race more quickly is desirable to win